Good evening, I'm Maham Tawa with the news-making headlines around the world. His Highness the Emir receives a written message from Speaker of the Libyan House of Representatives. Minister of Oil and Minister of State for Parliament Affairs says capital expenditures on oil industries are estimated at $100 million over the coming 5 years. Iraq's Prime Minister calls for further efforts to fight the so-called Islamic State group as the Peshmerga launches new anti-IS offensive near the Mosul Dam. And the Houthi rebels take over the presidential palace, strengthening their stronghold in the Yemeni capital Sana'a as the country falls deeper into crisis. In our first item, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir then received His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister. His Highness the Emir also received the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, accompanied by the personal envoy of the Speaker of the Libyan House of Representatives, Khalid Amr Al-Tabib, who conveyed a written message to His Highness the Emir from the House Speaker Aqila Saleh Haisa Qwaider. The message dealt with bilateral relations and included congratulations to His Highness the Emir on the occasion of naming His Highness as a humanitarian leader and Kuwait as a humanitarian center by the UN. His Highness the Emir then received the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister along with the Foreign Minister of Malta, Dr. George Villa, and his accompanying delegation currently visiting the country. His Highness the Emir also received the Minister of Oil and Minister of State for National Assembly Affairs, Dr. Ali Saleh Al-Amir, and the Iraqi Oil Minister Adel Abdel Mahdi on the occasion of the latter's visit to the country. The meetings were attended by the Deputy Minister of the Emiri Diwan Affairs, Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al-Sabah, and the Foreign Undersecretary Khalid Sliman Al-Jarallah. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister. His Highness the Crown Prince then received the Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Crown Prince also received the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defence Sheikh Khalid Al-Jarrah al-Sabah. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, received today at Bayan Palace in the presence of the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Foreign Minister of Malta, Dr. George Villa, and his accompanying delegation currently visiting the country. The meeting was attended by the Director of Europe Department at the Foreign Ministry, Ambassador Walid Ali Al-Khbezi, and the Ambassador of Kuwait to Malta, Faisal Sleiman Al-Misailim. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, received today at Bayan Palace in the presence of the Minister of the Amiri Diwan Affairs, Sheikh Nasser Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jabir Al-Sabah, and the Minister of Oil and Minister of State for National Assembly Affairs, Dr. Ali Saleh Al-Amir, the Oil Minister of Iraq, Adil Abdel Mahdi, and his accompanying delegation currently visiting the country. The meeting was attended by the Acting Undersecretary of the Oil Ministry, Ali Sebt bin Sebt, the Managing Director for Planning and Finance at Kuwait Petroleum Corporation, Mohammed Al-Farhood. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, received today at Bayan Palace the Chairman and members of Kuwait Transparency Society, who presented His Highness with the final report of Kuwait Transparency Award, which is held annually under the patronage of His Highness the Prime Minister. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah met today with the visiting Maltese Foreign Minister Dr. George Villa. During the meeting, both ministers discussed means of promoting and developing cooperative relations, as well as major issues of mutual interest. Members of the delegation accompanying the visiting Maltese Foreign Minister and several senior Kuwaiti officials were present at the meeting. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah hosted a luncheon today in honor of the visiting Maltese Foreign Minister Dr. George Villa and his accompanying delegation currently visiting the country. The GCC Ministerial Council held an extraordinary meeting in Riyadh today to discuss the latest regional and international developments. Earlier today, the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah and his accompanying delegation arrived in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to chair the State of Kuwait's delegation partaking in the extraordinary meeting. Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid's accompanying delegation comprised several senior officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Kuwait's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Sheikh Jabir Al-Ahmed Al-Jabir Al-Sabah. The Minister of Oil and Minister of State for National Assembly Affairs, Dr. Ali Saleh Al-Amir, revealed that capital expenditures, capex, on oil industries in Kuwait are estimated at $100 million over the coming 5 years, and that's in line with the strategic orientations of the oil sector. At the opening session of the first Petroleum Economist Hydrocarbon Strategy Forum that kicked off here today, Al-Amir said, despite oil prices, the atmosphere should be alternated into a more optimistic and positive one, adding that Kuwait insists on speeding up the pace of work in the grand projects in line with the strategic orientations of the Kuwait Petroleum Corporation as part of the responsibility to meet power needs and guarantee power security. The Kurdish Regional Security Council said today that Kurdish Peshmerga fighters launched a new offensive against the so-called Islamic State extremists in areas near the Mosul Dam. The council said that troops regained control of a number of local villages previously held by the IS group. Iraqi troops and pro-government militia fighters have fought fiercely against the IS extremists in recent months, making slow gains in an area immediately north of Baghdad. Iraqi and Kurdish forces have also been able to push the extremists out of parts of Diyala province on Baghdad's northeast fringe. Iraq's Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said today that the international community was not doing enough to help his country with the war against the so-called Islamic State group. In an interview before departing for the World Economic Forum in Davos, al-Abadi said the international coalition had provided air support, but other kinds of support were needed urgently. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said today that he was expanding maximum efforts in a tough fight against time to free 2 Japanese hostages the so-called Islamic State group is threatening to kill within 72 hours. The terrorist group demanded a $200 million ransom in a video posted online yesterday that showed a masked militant standing over the 2 kneeling captives. Ending a tour of the Middle East, Abe said he was consulting with leaders in the region and had instructed officials to use all possible diplomatic channels to seek the hostages' release. Meanwhile, Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga said that the government has verified the identities of the 2 hostages, adding that Tokyo would exert its utmost to secure their release. Fighters from the Houthi group battled guards at the Yemeni president's private home and entered the presidential palace as a second day of violence in the capital Sana'a raised fears the country was descending into chaos. The rebels also seized the country's largest missile base on a hilltop above the capital. In a speech on live television, Houthi leader Abdel Malik al-Houthi said that the 2 days of fighting involving his men were part of an attempt to protect a power-sharing deal meant to steer Yemen to stability. His speech was repeatedly critical of President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi, a U.S. ally with whom the Houthis has been at odds over a draft constitution intended to help end decades of conflict and underdevelopment. According to reports, the southern port city of Aden has now closed its air, sea and land crossings, with security authorities denouncing what they call an act of aggression against the president. A Palestinian man stabbed about 11 people on a bus in central Tel Aviv today, wounding 4 of them seriously before he was chased down, shot and arrested by Israeli police. The attack, praised by the Hamas group, was the latest in a spate of Palestinian attacks in Israel. The incident came as dozens of extremist Israeli settlers stormed into the Holy Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in East Jerusalem under the tight protection of Israeli police. Our correspondent in Ramallah has the details in the following report.
Tensions in the holy city of Jerusalem arise again with the continued provocations of Jewish settler groups and their raids into Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, last of which was when nearly 40 settlers and government employees stormed the holy site yesterday. They also attempted to carry out provocative practices in the yards of the holy mosque. Palestinians say the raids and provocations continue on almost a daily basis.
The situation in Al-Aqsa Mosque is completely tense. This situation is a reflection of the crisis on the Israeli government, which is trying to draw Palestinians to a religious confrontation.
Israeli forces banned Palestinians from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque compound while it provided cover for the Jewish settler raids. But this was not it. Israeli forces furthered its escalation by demolishing houses belonging to 2 Palestinian families in Al-Isawiyah town in the heart of East Jerusalem yesterday and today.
Israel is unlikely to stop the house demolitions. Its aim is to Judaize the city and empty it from its Palestinian residents, Muslims and Christians.
Palestinians warn again of the possible consequences and the return to the individual attacks exchange, and also threaten to explode the situation on both the local and international levels. Fatma Abdul Karim, Kuwait TV, Ramallah, Palestine.
The Palestinian embassy in Kuwait organized a reception at the Regency Hotel to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the outbreak of the Palestinian Revolution. Kuwait was the only Arab country that allowed and even supported the Palestinian National Action on Kuwait soil, funding the revolution since its inception in 1965. Hiba Abdurrahman was there and has this report.
Commemorating the Golden Jubilee of the outbreak of the Palestinian Revolution, the Palestinian Embassy in Kuwait organized a reception to receive the diplomatic missions, figures as well as the Palestinian community in Kuwait who wanted to take part in the event. Palestinian Ambassador to Kuwait, His Excellency Rami Tahboub, commended Kuwait's major role in the launch of the Palestinian Revolution.
This celebration for the Golden Jubilee for the breakout of the Palestinian Revolution is actually a kind of appreciation for the State of Kuwait and hosting the Palestinian leadership in before 1965, where the Palestinian leadership, the historic Palestinian leadership led by the late President Yasser Arafat and his and of course President Mahmoud Abbas and their brothers in the Central Committee of the Fatah movement, who launched from here, from Kuwait. So I think that this is the minimum that we can do is to set up this event for thanking Kuwait and offering, of course, our appreciation, deepest appreciation to the State of Kuwait and, of course, to the people in Kuwait, and on top, His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Sabah.
Kuwait hosted and supported the Palestinian Revolution since its inception on January 1st, 1965, and continues to do so at the present. The Palestinian Revolution was launched by its historic leaders and main body, Palestine Liberation Organization, and Kuwait continued its support and has always been backing the decisions of the Palestinian brothers and their political system. First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah's September 14, 2014 visit to Ramallah and performing prayers at Al-Aqsa Mosque was a new leap in Kuwait-Palestine relations, as visits like the one paid by Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid would support steadfastness of the Palestinians.
It's an event which we are all proud of, 50 years of remembrance where the Palestinian Revolution has emerged, and we hope that we don't see another 50 years and without liberation of Palestine. And I hope also that we will be able to assist in any way we can. And I take this opportunity to congratulate them for this occasion, and also to ask sincerely that the Palestinians also unite so that we can all, as Arabs, can help and not be embarrassed with their differences.
Our congratulations go to the Palestinian people, but more than the occasion of the day is a look into the future. We wish for a peaceful living in the Near East, and that starts and includes the Palestinian people. So in this direction, our most profound wishes go.
Kuwait was the spark of this great revolution, with the strong faith of this country and ruling Al-Sabah family in the right of the Palestinian people to liberate their country, return and build the independent state with Jerusalem as its capital. The revolution reflected the belief that the Palestinian people are responsible for liberating their lands. Celebrating the Golden Jubilee of the outbreak of the Palestinian Revolution is not only an event which is patriotic and national, but it also can be considered as a sign of appreciation for the Kuwaiti leadership that supported and encouraged this revolution from the very first moment. From the Regency Hotel, I am Hiba Abdurrahman reporting for English News.
In our final item tonight, we move to the local financial news where the main price indices of Kuwait Stock Exchange ended today's session with a positive on a positive board, with the price index gaining 16 points to reach 6,662 points. The KSX 15 index put on 12 points and settled at the level of 1,080 points. The share of the credit rating and collection was the top gainer of the day, while that of the Flex Resorts and Real Estate Company suffered the biggest loss. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Well, with that, we conclude our news bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant time. I'm Maham Pawa. Before we go, we remind you once again of our main top stories. Have a pleasant time and good night. His Highness the Emir receives a written message from Speaker of the Libyan House of Representatives. Minister of Oil and Minister of State for Parliament Affairs says capital expenditures on oil industries are estimated at $100 million over the coming 5 years. Iraq's Prime Minister calls for further efforts to fight the so-called Islamic State group as the Peshmerga launches new anti-IS offensive near the Mosul Dam. And the Houthi rebels take over the presidential palace, strengthening their stronghold on the Yemeni capital Sana'a as the country falls deeper into crisis.